welcome to Tailgate Talk. Brought to you from our good friends at Buck Rub Outfitters. They are 18 acres, nothing but archery. Wisconsin's #1 archery pro shop and range, located on Silvernail Road in Pewaukee. You can look them up online, buckrubarchery.com. That's where I got my Bowtech bow. My wife just recently, this year, picked up her very first bow at Buck Rub Outfitters, and they've got some awesome products that they make there, from sights to releases to arrow rests. Check them out, like I said, buckrubarchery.com. Got a lot of stuff we want to cover this morning. I am Shaun Ritter, at On Air Ritter. You can find me on socials. Former Major Leaguer Paul Wagner in studio with us today, who is apparently joining the socials at some point in time in the future. I love to say that. And Eric Tasker, ET5504. You're going to find him on the social this morning. Of course, you can text us, 799-1973, as we get the show rolling. You had actually got kind of we'll call it a mailbag, a set of text messages about the show. People have been listening lately. Want to read through some of those, Wags?
So I've been getting, because I'm not on social media yet, and I don't have a Twitter account, and nobody can yell at me for doing something stupid. Somehow my phone number's out there. So my number hasn't changed. I'm 53 years old. I think I've had that same number since the day cell phones came out. But here's one. The more I listen to y'all's podcast on Saturday mornings, you and Ritter gel well and are completely two different people. You're a good old country boy, and he reminds me of the guy that can afford African safaris, extremely expensive weapons, and eats the weirdest food.
All right, I don't know where that comes from because, I'm not the former major leaguer. I didn't play in the majors. I think that he was talking about you, Wags. You're the money bags one,
and the fancy weapons. And
I think he knows. I think anybody can just take a baseball card and flip it over and realize that no, he wasn't one of the good ones.
That's one of the more funny takes I've ever heard that someone's thought about me. Do I give off that impression?
I don't think so.
The weirdest foods. I'm going to go with the weirdest foods.
That is true.
Totally.
Sure.
I will own up to weirdest foods because I will eat just about anything. That I absolutely own up to. But the impression that I afford African safari, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
It couldn't be farther from I don't know. Is it because I've done a lot of stuff and I've traveled a lot of places? Is that maybe where it could come from? I mean, I've talked about I fished in Costa Rica and Mexico and Jamaica and
which people don't
Dominican
realize,
Republic.
Those are all work trips.
Canada.
Yeah. You guys are the world travel. I'm just the local Hunt, Wisconsin type of guy. That's it. So, but anyway, it's crazy. So we will start it. I am going to get it set up through the station. We are going to get a Twitter account or some type of social media platform for me to start up eventually. Just bear with the timeline.
Comes with a lot of responsibility.
I know.
Careful what you like.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Yeah,
you could be a person like Carrie Underwood this past week liked one tweet, and everybody was after trying to cancel her for having an opinion.
Yeah.
It really is sad that opinions are. You have to be so careful.
Make or break now.
Well, and I'll boil it down on my side of things. I mean, you guys know, so obviously we do this show together. I have a normal country radio show that I do, and then on the side, all of my other side outdoor projects that I've got. That I'm kind of working on in my YouTube channel and all that sort of stuff that's completely separate from all of this stuff. I have to be so freaking careful all the time about anything because you don't want to say anything on – the whole world has become so one side of the fence or the other.
Right.
And you don't want to say anything on any side of the fence because it suddenly seems like you're on you're choosing a side and one side's going to hate you. And then in my world of dealing with brands and sponsorships or anything like that, you don't want to piss them off.
Right.
So, I just basically have to sit back and have no opinion and not say anything and just put out the most fluffy, sugar-coated, random, here's the picture of me with a fish. And make sure that I have absolutely zero opinion that anyone could even take anything that I post or put out there as an opinion.
Yeah, and then they're going to make sure that you catch and release, right, Ritter? Catch and release, right? You didn't eat it, did you? Catch and release, so...
Well, boy, don't look at his Instagram from this week, then.
Especially my TikTok. I did actually do a TikTok of it. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned. As a bass angler, I filleted up some bass this week.
Yep.
I could. You know what? Here's the thing. I grew up every now and then, and to me, I love nothing more than blackened bass. Blackened smallmouth specifically, but I'll only keep the smallest of the small. I'm looking for that 14-inch boom. That's all that I want to do. I'm not the guy that's keeping big fish. And I have not had bass in so many years. And a couple of weeks ago, I went out and I went on a panfish mission. And I, caught just enough panfish for the wife and I. We ate, and I was like, man, that was so good. I actually went out and did it again last week with my son. I figured it out. this is a whole other topic we get to when we talk about limits and amount of fish that you keep. It doesn't take as much as you'd think for panfish. Like, you don't need to catch full limits to feed a family. Doesn't have to happen. But anyway, I got thinking I want to do black and bass again, and I was out and I was having a stellar day, which you'll be able to see on my channel coming up in the future because I was filming that day. But I thought to myself, man, if there's ever a time like this, I should do it. So I waded off, and I've got like a live well thing within my kayak, and I caught a few, and I had like 2 in the live well, and I'm very careful with them. They're in the, they're oxygen, everything's fine. So finally I caught a smaller one, a 14, and I'm like, okay, this is the one I'm looking for. So I'm like, bled out, boom, threw it in my cooler behind me. I'm like, okay, well, now that I'm doing it, I got to make an experiment. I got to get a second one and not bleed it out. So that's another thing that I'm going to do as part of with my YouTube channel is doing kind of a taste test and showing the difference between the taste of bleeding out a fish versus not bleeding out. I don't want to tip my cap one way or the other, which I believe right now, but I do have a certain belief of one way of what is better than the other, just based on experience in the past. But I want to do it with other people that haven't had it, like my wife, who I don't think has experienced that. So that was the reason I kept them. But I had to in the moment as I'm like getting ready to flay out. I'm like, I feel like I have to do a TikTok with this. I have to, just because I need to stir up the controversy and get people upset because, good Lord, I'm a bass fisherman, flayed some bass up.
Yeah.
But I was talking with Tasker before you walked in, Wags, and I was out there that day, and some locals on the lake come wheeling up a couple, and it's an older couple. He yells, how you doing? I said, I caught this and that, whatever. I basically said I'd caught, 8 fish and, lost 3 on some blow-ups and stuff. And he goes, oh, nice. Are they good? And I was like, yeah, the smallest is 14. He goes, oh, so all keepers. My first thought there was, all right, so anyone's going to get mad at me for keeping 2 bass and filleting them up. If I was that boat, all 8 of those things would have hit the fillet board, all right? So, I don't have to feel bad about just keeping those 2 fish, whatever, to have. So, okay, no, actually it was 3 fish. I lied. That's right. I did nab another one for my friend's dad, who always yells at me, you go out fishing and you don't ever keep fish, and why can't you just bring me fish? So I'm like, all right, fine, here, I'll fillet one for you. There you go. Yeah. Stop yelling at me.
Well, I will say thank you for being very careful on air, because from the sales side of it, I mean, that's our pocketbook that gets hurt then when people get upset and they pull their dollars away from us. So
we could use all the dollars we can on this show. We should start like a little tip jar if you want to throw some of those dollars in.
Yeah. You're going to offend 50% of the people, and you're going to excite 50% of the people. There's no in between anymore. It's just like, it's so extreme, which is, especially with the outdoors and the way we talk about it and what we do, trying to find out better ways to conserve, faster ways, more economical ways. The things we talk about on this show are just phenomenal pieces, and hopefully people don't get too upset with that, because what we do, we harvest and we eat what we harvest. We're not horn chasers. We don't seem to be tusk chasers or anything like that.
Apparently I sound like one, though.
You do.
I think African safaris.
This might be the most I don't know, I guess graphic conversation that we've had. I just did air quotes about bleeding out a fish. I mean, that's probably like the most.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Like, that is probably the most, I guess, I don't know. But otherwise, it's always, a very normal conversation.
Well, everybody understands it. If you're listening to this podcast at 7:00 in the morning and you're an outdoorsman, you understand it.
Yeah.
Which way he's going to lead when he does his taste test, I already know. I'm assuming I would know. Kind of curious to see that, but you're right. Maybe you got to be careful. You got to walk on it. But heck, this is why this is what people want to know the truth.
People are tuning in for a reason. They understand what we're talking about. So
yeah,
that's good.
But a lot of stuff I want to get to and talk about on the show this week here. Obviously, some stuff that's happened here in the state in the last couple of weeks, having to do with hunting coming up. A new event. Well, it's a new event, but it's kind of like an old event they're bringing back. For waterfowl hunters. We get ready for waterfowl season coming up here. We're going to talk about it. Remember the DU Expo that used to happen in Oshkosh every year?
Yeah.
There's something new along those lines that I'm going to share with you. Came across a list of hunter stereotypes from every state.
Can't wait to talk about that.
That's going to be fun. And I know something you got into, Tasker, because I had mentioned to you with the Ashby Foundation and Dr. Ashby, and the difference between broadheads, single bevel, double bevel. What's better? Is one better? Expandables? What are your broadheads to use? Let's just dive right into some of this stuff here. I know that both of you were out looking for the extra doe tags when they went on sale this past week. How was that experience on, was it Monday? Was your zone
Monday,
tasker?
Yeah. Monday was my zone. Well, it wasn't too bad for me because I was able to multitask. I have a Go Wild card, and I was able to log into my account and just sit there in the, I don't know, the virtual waiting room or whatever they called it. What I thought was interesting about that was that it opened at 9:45, but it didn't matter how early you got in to the waiting room before 10 a.m. It automatically shuffled you into the mix without any priority. So
really?
I wasn't really sure where, because it outlined that on the DNR website. You and I going back and forth, we were kind of going, just saying like where we were in line and everything.
I basically jumped in. I didn't need it. I've got 3 doe tags in the county that I'm in. I didn't need anything more, and that wasn't my zone anyway. But I just to try it and see how big the line was, I jumped in to just look at it, and I was, what was it, 23,000?
Yeah, you were like 23,000 or something like that. I think when I first got in at 10 o'clock, I was like 3,600 or something like that, thinking, all right, well, we'll just see what happens. My dad was at Fleet Farm early. I think he got there about 20 to 10, and it was like Orange Friday in that place. It was unbelievable how many people were there when you have the ability to just create an account online and just go online and do it. People are still going in and doing that, which, whatever. I wasn't the only one that had my phone out looking online, trying to get in the waiting room, and, maybe you'd be able to buy your tags faster that way. But my dad, I think, was number 54. It took him about 25 minutes to get through the line. I just kept thinking, okay, well, we have the option for public or private, whatever. It wouldn't make a difference for where we're at. There were only 450 tags, and then I think there were 1,000 or 1,500 private tags. So I'm like, okay, if I get through the line, it took me maybe 10 minutes to get in and actually be able to buy. So we didn't have any issues. So I bought a public tag right away thinking, okay, that's our safest option. There's fewer tags there. If you get up there and you need to buy a private land tag, then we can obviously do that as well. And like I said, for him, it was about 25 minutes. So it was not fast, but I didn't think it was terribly slow either. And it was kind of nice because as they got to the 40s, people weren't even there anymore because they just registered online and they were able to get in and get their tags that way. So, but fortunately, we were both able to get tags. So it's nice just to have that option because we didn't get any deer last year. So it'll be 2 years now. So it'd be nice to be able to shoot whatever.
That's one regret that I have that I didn't do, and I was just like quickly doing, because I actually did mine really quickly. I was standing in line waiting at the urgent care when I had that bug bite thing. I just saw the email come like, I should get tags, do a quick whatever. I should have put in and got at least one private land tag. I got all public lands for the 3 bonus does that I've got. I should have got one private just in case, like stumble upon something or get access to something, but whatever. So I'll just stick to public land this year. That's been my MO anyway, right? Like I'm the guy that's going, okay, I'm going to be the public land guy. I'm going to rep for
African public land.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm on my African safaris that I'm on. I still can't believe you got a text saying that I seem like the African safari and like the expensive weapon thing too. I own a Benelli shotgun. Okay, so there's maybe an expensive gun. Yeah. That's the only gun I own.
Yeah.
And I have a Bowtech bow. Okay, so like I have one bow and one shotgun. That's all I have for weaponry. No, let's not look at rods and reels and all that stuff.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I've got a lot of that. It's all old, though. That's the thing. Like
$3,500 kayaks. Yeah,
okay, all right.
Yeah, see, it's all starting to come together now.
COVID-19. Oh, it's terrible. I can't even get my kayak. He's talking. I'm thinking, I saw my Cabela's are like 600, and he's like $3,500 or something like that. Whoa! And we're talking. My daughter wants a kayak. She's getting a little plastic one from Cabela's, and she's gonna sit in there for $500.
Have to help plant some food plots for you. And
here's where I will sound bougie. It's been pretty nice when I've been at the boat launches and coming out and pulling out. People are like, wow, that's a really nice boat you got. That's a really nice setup there.
Yeah.
I've got wheels. Railblazer makes it's a Sea-Tug cart that like you could put canoes, anything on it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Not even a shameless plug. It is fantastic.
It.
If you own any sort of watercraft that you need to move from one place to another, Seriously, Railblazer Sea Tug cart, go and buy you one of them. It's like $130. It'll be the best $130 you ever spend because it can mount on, again, like I said, kayaks, canoes, everything.
Yeah.
It just straps right around it. It's wheels, and you can pull it. Thing works awesome. Breaks apart. Like you can, like it comes down to such. It's anyway. I throw it in the back of my kayak once I get in the water, and so when I'm going to come out of the water, it's as easy as I pull it enough and shore that I can jump out. I jump out, I grab it off the back, I float it underneath, strap it around. And I just pull right to the boat ramp, and I just jump out and just wheel myself right up.
Yeah.
I'm like about to come out the other day, and some guy goes,
That's
"Oh,
nice.
you need a hand with that?" And no more than you can say, with that, I'm already up on the concrete and up on wheels and walking away from him. He goes, "Oh my gosh, it's on wheels. That's really cool." You know?
3 minutes in and out.
And that's just it. I'm super fast. I can get in and out of water faster than anyone doing it with a boat.
Yeah.
So that's why you spend the money.
So did you get tags, Wags?
No, I don't do that.
You don't need
because,
to, yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll get my gun, weapons. I'll go gun and archery same time. Boom, boom, double up. My doe tags aren't weapon specific. My daughter's coming home. She's going to shoot the crossbow. So again, we have plenty. Usually, we don't fill all our doe tags. We're farmland. It's not like by you where it's buck only.
Land.
Yeah, you're forest, and there's more wolves than there are.
Right.
Every time you see something brown and it doesn't have horns, you roll your eyes and you get upset. But no, my situation isn't like that. So I've never come across that. Had to do it when I do go up to Holcomb or up to the Flater Resort, like we've talked about. We're trying to get Joe on here, muskie guide, and he also does bears. I can go over the counter usually. And then if there isn't something, and generally I only go over the counter for him for late season turkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, because it's bucks only unless you get one of those limited tags, which is always kind of I don't know. It always kind of drives me nuts. And then, I just remember in years past when we haven't gotten them right away. I mean, I put an appointment on my calendar so that I remembered what day it was and that I would be there. But I just remember in the past, I'm like, oh, well, I saw 6 doe this week or whatever that we were up there. And my wife's like, well, why didn't you take one? I'm like, I just can't just shoot whatever I want unless I have tags for it. So it'll be nice now that we obviously have 2. And like you were saying, they're not weapon specific. So if we don't fill tags in our bow season, then we'll be able to at least have that option for gun season.
If you did have that option, I guess there's another topic we can talk about. When do you harvest your does? So it's always been a tough situation where people would always say you got to take does off your property, and you take the does early September 15th with the bow, and then let them go through the rut end of October, November. I've always been under the impression that I leave my does out later because I don't know. I just.
You think the doe state will keep the bucks around?
That's what I'm thinking. So if you walk into a bar,
my thought has always been.
You walk again back in the old day. You walk into a bar and there's one doe and there's 20 bucks. Oh, your odds ain't very good. But you walk into that bar and there's 20 does and there's only $5. Hey, you might have a chance. So
even the ugly buck will find a doe.
Even the ugly buck get lucky. So my theory has always been if I'm going to take a doe, I'll take it early. If not, I take my doe in gun season.
Okay.
But people will yell at me and say, no, you gotta limit your does. That'll bring bigger bucks into your property. And maybe it's true because all my big bucks come, and we've talked about this. They all come at 3 a.m.
Yeah, you're that different scenario too from Tasker and I. You're the private land. We're the public land guys. And that's something I've kind of thought. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Because my plans are I'm only bow hunting and I'm only a bow hunter, so I'm going to hunt a little bit early. I think. I might not be the opening weekend. I might wait till like that week, after the opening weekend. I maybe hunt a little bit that week. But then it's like, okay, I prefer to shoot a buck and maybe just shoot a buck early. But am I opposed to taking a doe if the opportunity presents itself and it's just too easy? Like, if
the situation is there.
I probably will.
Right.
I probably will just be okay. Let's just punch a tag. Let's get some Venice in the freezer, and then I can hunker down and be a little more picky down the road because then at least I've got one bird. What is it? One bird in the hand is better than a bird in the bush, or whatever the saying is. One deer in the freezer is better than no deer in the freezer. So you got a little of something, to get going.
That was my exact situation 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Was that I had a number of deer around me for most of bow season, and there was a doe that I watched her bed down. I watched her walk around, And she was there for like 3 days in a row, just within probably 30-ish yards. And then one day she came walking out, and she was at 11 yards right out in front of my stand. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know if we're going to get one this year. So I feel like I can't pass up on the opportunity because we hadn't gotten one the year before. And up until the last few years, we haven't been seeing a lot of deer. So it's like, well, am I really going to miss this opportunity? It's exactly that situation where it's like, okay, 11 yards, broadside, stopped.
Like the big man upstairs was looking out for you passing on how many days. It was like, no, you're supposed to have this one, and just presented it on a dinner plate to you.
Right. And especially if she's a 2.5 or something.
Right.
Those are the ones that, the other ones will run around. The bucks will come chasing the young does, those 1.5 years. But all of a sudden you get an old mama who's maybe in her third litter, and she knows where she is. And especially if you see her many times.
Yeah.
Don't get, you can scent up and cover your scent as much as you want. They're not stupid. And obviously you get to be 3.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 by not being stupid. And those are the ones we take out. If a couple little ones, littler, smaller does, or maybe 1.5 years or something like that, maybe okay. All of a sudden one spots you, or you think one's a little bit older, that's the doe we take. Get the mama out.
Yeah.
If she's already done it, had couples maybe 2-3 times, 2-3 years already, get that big one out, because if she finds you, man, she's gonna tell everybody with a bugle horn.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, though, because that's something that I wanted to ask you at some point, was what is your philosophy on that? Because, I mean, everybody's got an opinion on what they're going to do, and I think it's different for everyone. Yeah. And for me, now that we have a doe tag again this year, I've thought about that a lot this week, where it's like, okay, what might our plan be? We plan on going opening weekend. So is it that I would take one right away, or is it going to be in one of those 2 weeks that I go in October, early November? I just don't know what our thought would be. But now that you say that, I'm like, you know what? If I get a chance opening weekend, I'm probably just going to hopefully put a shot out.
I agree. And if you're not sure, if you can't look at, jaw structures or body or neck, and you're not sure, I take the bigger of the does. Take the older one that, even if you're not sure on how aging works on the doe, we all got buck ideas on how we age bucks. But when you're aging a doe, I just go by size, and you'll see it's weird, because when you're that close at 20 yards and you got a bigger doe and you got other ones, for some reason, when they look at you, I can't explain it, but you can almost see features that give you the impression that this is a little bit older, a little bit more mature doe.
Little extra gray hair type situation.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that's the one you don't want her snorting and wheezing and scaring stuff away from you at later dates. So yeah, my opinion, early season, if you're going to go out there, you take your doe there. You got a doe in October. You don't know if she's been bred. All of a sudden you got October. Now you roll into the first week of November. Some of those bigger bucks have maybe, penned her up, maybe in the end of October, and now she's back out. I don't, maybe she's still going to. I know. I think when you get close to that time, you just have to be careful, and I would never. So then I'll wait and take my doe in gun season.
We could go on forever about this, but I want to kind of transition here. Eventually, we got to get to some waterfowling stuff, as duck and goose season's upon us very, very soon. I'm going to touch on some of that archery stuff with single versus double bevel, but I quickly want to hit this 50 hunter stereotypes I found at Outdoor Life. Thought this was pretty funny. They broke this down state by state and give these stereotypes people in the states. So I'm going to cover a couple of states I know that we've been to and hunted. I know that you've been Kansas, Wags, so let me find Kansas here real quickly. Do they not have a Kansas? Where is Kansas? It disappeared. Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana. Completely skipped Kansas. So Kansas doesn't have a stereotype?
Guess not.
All right, never mind. All right, here's Kansas. They took it way out of order. Okay, if you're going to put everything else in alphabetical order, keep Kansas in order. Come on, Outdoor Life. All right, here's Kansas. You'll find him at a Casey's gas station, guzzling black coffee and grabbing a couple of slices of cheesy goodness to go. He always keeps his Carhartts in the back seat in case there's a chance to slip into the deer stand after work. You can catch him at the co-op buying corn for his deer feeder, and he'll give you a cussing lecture on non-resident deer hunters leasing every piece of ground that's ever had a buck track on it. He lives by the mantra, if you can't take an ass chewing, go live in Oklahoma.
Yeah. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. The Casey's Pizzas, everybody. You go in there and get a full Casey's Pizza, and you'll be like, okay, what are you doing? No, that's lunch. That's lunch, dinner, and breakfast tomorrow.
Right. That's funny.
All right, let's go to Wisconsin since that's state that
It is
we're
so
in
perfect.
Here.
It is
So
so perfect.
you've read this, Tasker? All right, so here's the Wisconsin, the stereotype of us. He knows all the words to roll out the barrel and can tell you how many cheese curds he ate last year at camp. With at least 5 of his buddies in tow, he takes to the deer woods for a drive with hopes that he'll bring him the 30-point buck that his dad used to tell him bedtime stories about all those years ago. He's a genetically superior beer drinker, which comes in handy when he's in an ice shack 10 months out of the year, jigging for perch. And if you don't own a snowmobile, take your flat-laden-loving tail back to the Chicagoland. A few words I had to change there. They
A couple edits, but
yeah. So tried to not curse too much, make it somewhat family friendly. Funny story, Roll Out the Barrel. That's my son's favorite song to sing in bedtime. He knows all the words to Roll Out the Barrel. I've got a 3-year-old that sings Roll Out the Barrel. I'm winning at fatherhood. I've got him singing Roll Out the Barrel. He likes to watch football and eat chicharrones with me, and he's been fishing on my kayak with me. I'm winning at fatherhood. I'm winning at fatherhood.
Is that like a tell me you're from Milwaukee without telling me you're from Milwaukee?
The Roll Out the Barrel part?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you guys agree with the Wisconsin of it?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm trying to think if there's any other stereotypes I'd add to that, Is the whole we talked about this early on in the show. Do we think that deer camp is dead? What typically was set, used to be everybody had these big, huge deer camps. The whole family would get together at the cabin and, you'd have, or all the guys would gather at the, cabin. They all go to the tavern and there was all the, they'd have the entertainment that the northern taverns would bring in. Entertainment. I did the air quotes there.
Air quotes.
Does that still exist? Or is it just because I'm so far removed that it doesn't seem like it's a thing anymore?
Well, for us, it's still a thing, but that's, I guess, just our family's tradition.
Are you there the whole? Let me just verify that real quick or clarify that. Do you go up Friday before opening day and do you stay the whole week, or do you go for the weekend, come home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then go back up?
Typically, we will go up Thursday so we can set our stands on Friday, and then we're up the whole week.
Okay, that
has been our thing for a number of years now. So, unfortunately, my parents are taking a trip to Europe during gun season this year, so our season is going to be short this year. But every other year, that's exactly what we would do. We have our plan. Friday night we do a fish fry. Saturday night we do prime rib at this place. And then we just kind of know what our week looks like. And it's the same thing every year. So it is full-on tradition every year, same thing.
Okay, because I'm just still curious if it's just me removed or if that still is the thing, the week-long deer camps in northern Wisconsin with the taverns full and all that sort of thing.
They're definitely busier, but what we've noticed, because my parents, my dad and my uncles have been up there for 35-plus years now, is that some of the big groups that used to be up there aren't up there anymore. Or they're much smaller. And so maybe it is just a thing about the times are changing and that, maybe those people are no longer hunting or whatever it might be. But for us in our little bubble, it's still the same thing. But I feel like it is kind of getting smaller because, some of those groups aren't up there anymore. And, some of those people that they used to drink beer with all the time aren't up there.
That would be a good question to pose. I mean, I don't know if we have that text line or.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a great.
Us, let us know.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great one because I have a feeling that you're now the minority. I don't think that happens very much.
I bet.
And I don't think as many as, Shaun bringing his son. I just think we touched on this very beginning of the show and the podcast early on. We want to get. You want to open up conservation. We want to open up outdoors to the younger generations. I don't think it's there. So I think these kids, I got to go up. I got football, state championship football season is always right around there in Madison.
Yeah,
I got to go up and hunt with my dad and my grandpa, but I'm only going to stay there Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to come back home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we have to go up there after Thanksgiving. And I think that's where it's changing. And I'd be curious to see what people say.
You can hit on socials @on the tailgate. I want to get to the conversation about single versus double bevel in arrows and in broadheads because archery season is upon us. We're all 3 archery hunters, a lot of people big archery hunters, and this is something that I've kind of dove into recently, and I know I got Tasker involved in some stuff of researching as well. So we're going to just talk a little bit about that and the difference. If you heard about what the difference in these bevel things, it's Ritter, Tasker, and Wags. I wanted to get into something that's become a big thing in archery, or the last few years has become very popular. switching to single or double bevel broadheads, going away from mechanicals and, your typical 4, razored broadheads, all the stuff you've had, over the last few decades, basically. Dr. Ashby and the Ashby Foundation has been doing all this research on broadhead effectiveness. And you've probably heard of this, like, FOC, front of center. People refer to things with arrows and, your total grain weight and having, X percentage front of center is what you're looking for to have the maximum effectiveness of your arrows. I know Ashby was recently on Steve Rinnella's podcast, and I've known of it and been studying this for a while, but I told you, Tasker, I said, you got to listen to this because he gave a really good kind of crash course on that, which I don't want to say like, oh, go listen to someone else's podcast, but actually that's one that if you're an archery hunter and if you're involved in, wanting to shoot better or be more effective with a bow, to listen to that because he's stupid smart and been researching the effectiveness of broadheads on friggin' animals in Africa. Like, yes, apparently I'm the one that's so far as ever.
Comes full circle.
None of us here are
Pinned
like,
you, right?
we're not trying to get a blow through of a scapula on a white rhino. Like, that's just not a thing. Like, so, like, the fact that he's able to study and research these things on these very large animals, I think some of that research, you can kind of dumb it down and use it here. I mean, obviously, the most effective kill shot is what you want. Like, that's what you don't want to wound an animal. You want a good, clean, effective kill shot hitting vitals. A blow through would be great because one hole is not as good as 2 holes when it comes to, wearing an animal out or bleeding out. But the thing that they found was that single bevel heads actually are meant to, as they hit, they spin and they'll actually break bone more so than a double bevel. If you're not familiar with what the bevel was the point. If you think about the edge of the arrow, double, if you think of like a razor blade or a knife, it's got 2 sides that go to one point. That's a double bevel. If it's single bevel, it's just one edge. So think of like a lawnmower blade. Your lawnmower blade is going to be a single bevel. It's that. So a broadhead that just has the 2 sides are opposing. So the shape of it would be, what is that? A parabola? No, what's that shape?
Parabola.
We're making stuff up. Okay, anyway, it's an obtuse rectangle. Okay.
Oh yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Obtuse rectangle.
Yeah.
So it spins and it'll actually break bone, and that's to say that's actually the most effective. The single bevel. Really, the difference between single bevel and double bevels, though, and like stuff that we're shooting whitetails or anything here, it makes no difference. Double bevels are just as effective as the single bevel, but finding that they're far more effective than mechanicals. And that if you want the most effective kill shot, not shooting mechanicals is actually the better way to go. So go your single bevels. Mangus, they're broadheads, they're double bevel broadheads. Even with the little bleeders, you can get some that have like the extra little bleeder things. Although Ashby was talking about on Rinnella's thing of how when those were first brought out, the idea was they were supposed to break off, which kind of caused more damage.
As it tingles,
right?
Spin.
They're supposed to hit, and they break off, which still allows the arrow to pass through. But some of the current ones that are coming out with those bleeders, they don't. And actually, what happens is they just slow the arrow down more. They'll actually bind up, and slow it down. That's the other thing we was talking about. Serrated edges actually slow your arrow down more because a serrated edge, you think, oh, it actually doesn't cut more efficiently.
Right.
It just gathers more stuff in your broadhead.
It creates more
and
friction. It slows the arrow down. Yeah, we were talking about that. It's funny that this is starting to become a big conversation now, the single versus double bevel. Because we were talking when I talked to Wags in the hallway about, so you shoot mechanicals and I shoot fixed blade, and that's always been the big conversation for the last number of years, where some people are totally one way or the other, and I've just always shot fixed blade because for whatever reason, that small doubt in my mind of it not opening on impact is enough for me to not shoot a mechanical head. And that's been some of the problems with mechanicals that people have encountered. And my brother, he isn't a big fan of mechanicals because of he hasn't had a situation come with him, but he's like practiced and had them not. Yeah. So he's moved away from them. I do shoot mechanicals turkey, but the broadheads that I shoot for turkey are specifically, I want that. I do the rage, they've got kind of like the hooks on the side. I want it to slow down because my point is I don't want the arrow just pass through and the bird takes off running. There's an arrow stick, and I actually want to pin the bird down. I want to slow it down enough that it'll pin the bird right to the ground.
Yeah, we were talking. I'm always been a fixed muzzy. I'm a muzzy guy. I was always a muzzy, a 4-blade, 125 grain with the 1 1/8 cut. somebody put me onto a rage. They said, you got to try it. You got to try this hypodermic. You got to try this. I'm like, whatever.
They were watching The Crush.
Boom. took a, and I'm telling you what, for me, because of the fact I was telling Task that I'm not necessarily, my shot, I'm an area shooter. I'm not pin nuts. I can shoot at a dot on a cube. I can put a dough ray up and I can pop that, but you can't control how you're feeling when adrenaline pumps in and you got a 150 incher in front of you. You think you're steady Eddie, but you're really not. I need an area. So I've found myself with the rage. I've kind of moved a little bit back into the body a little bit more, whereas I tried to be really perfect with my Muzzy fixed. And when I took it with that rage, I was fortunate. It did open up, but the blood trail that leaves, I think that hypodermic leaves maybe a 2 1/4 inch cut.
Yeah, I think they're up to like 2.5 or 2 3/4. That's a lot.
It's basically a turkey guillotine.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I did it, but I have had one too. I had a buck come up to us. It was a kill. Got hit by a truck or hit by a vehicle coming up, and I had to take it out. We had an extra buck tag, and I was just going to take it out, and it did not open. It went right through into the thing, so it went right through just as one of your regulars, you're shooting into a target. Yep. I went and picked it up. Half of it was dangling and the other half was still pinned. And with those collars and with those rubber bands, so now Rage and some of these are coming out with no collars.
Right.
But that collar kind of hung it up a little bit, and I could see it. I pulled it right out. Luckily, my arrow was okay. Cleaned it up, pulled off that head, threw it away, and used it again. But yeah, the left side did not open. It was hung up on a
that
band,
scares me.
And the right was just dangling. So it was a pass through. Fortunately, it must have been high, maybe up in the death zone above the spine or something. And no kill. I think this animal survived, but I missed it.
Wow. Well, they say double bevel with obviously heavier arrows, a well-tuned bow, and a well-chosen shot are the best.
And really, that's what it comes down to every time is placement of a shot.
Right. Whatever you're shooting. I mean, as long as you're making, and you can make that good shot, make that perfect shot, that ethical shot, that kill shot, that's what matters. Especially with whitetails. I would almost think that any arrow and bow setup that you have, as long as it's tuned, you're going to have chance of that pass through that everyone's looking for nowadays. You know what I mean? Most people I don't think are shooting. You're not trying to shoot through scapulas. You're usually high or behind anyway.
Yeah, and bows are just so efficient now that the way that they're sending arrows.
Which, how are you loving your new Masters?
It's amazing. It's just it's incredible. I'm just so glad that I finally actually shot one, because I mean that's what I've said for so long now that
he's with me at Buck Rub, and he's like, I don't want to
even draw it back. I refuse to pull it back unless I'm getting one. And but the sight, I got to do a little work on that just to get my sight tape and everything figured out, because it's got the static pin with a floating pin underneath it.
We're working that. I got to get my wife set up too. So
yeah. So, but I just I mean I love it. I just ordered one of those like stands that you can put kind of in the limb.
Oh, yeah.
So that you can set it down like when you're shooting or whatever. That's always kind of been like a big thing for me, that I don't want to ever just set my bow down.
Yeah.
Because even if it is safely put down, you can always like just jolt the sight a little bit. And so I did end up.
You're seeing me do it. I'm like so gentle of like slowly
I know, it's like,
set and like, okay,
terrifying.
slowly lift away.
Which way do you set it down? Do I set it on this, or do I have a pressure? Is it going to jolt it? Is it going to?
Yeah. Which, by the way, we got to give a big shout out to our show sponsor, Buck Rub Archery and Buck Rub Outfitters for all of that and all the work they've done of helping us out and shooting out there and getting my wife set up with a new bow this year so she can go out and shoot with me. Which I'm telling you, if you ever want. This is a question that's been asked to me. How do you get your wife, or how do you get someone to like say, okay, it's okay to buy a new bow? Get her a bow first. Get her involved in shooting with you. Archery doesn't have to be about killing animals. They're going to get hooked, and then you're golden. My wife already, she's like in the backyard looking like, okay, well, we could set a target there and we're going to shoot from here. I got her now. She's been in the basement with it. She's like,
pacing it out.
You know what? If we clear this out, we can put a target right down there and we can go in the basement. We can shoot every night.
Right.
I'm like, see?
There you go.
That's how you do it. If you want a new bow, buy your significant other a bow first.
Yeah.
That will open the door and make it easier than the next season for you to be like, so there's my little bit of advice. And buy it from Buck Rub Archery.
Yeah.
So, I want to get to... Why the laughing wags?
Oh, no, nothing. No, nothing. We're good. We're good.
I thought there was something coming with that. Before we wrap up, though, this week, I did want to touch on a new waterfowl event that's coming to our state. It's new-ish. You guys remember the Ducks Unlimited Great Outdoors Festival? It used to take place, Sun of You Expo in Oshkosh. I went to that every year, and they got away from it. They just kind of ran out of money. It wasn't a lucrative thing. Well, now the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and other waterfowl conservation organizations are announcing the return of the inaugural Waterfowl Hunters Expo. So instead of a whole weekend, this is going to be a one-day. Saturday, August 28th, Sunnyview Expo Center in Oshkosh, which is the Oshkosh or the Winnebago County Fairgrounds.
Right.
So we'll have it there. Outdoor family fun. It's dog-friendly. They're going to have a full expo, which allows hunters to engage with the latest experts and technologies to get ahead of the waterfowl season. It's like 2 days before everything opens up. So, like, you're fresh and at it. You go on Saturday, the outdoor festival, or what are they calling it, the Waterfowl Hunters Expo. And then 2 days later, you're out, in fields hunting geese. You're hunting teal. And it's going to be $10 general admission. Military and veterans, first responders get tickets for $8. Kids 12 and under and dogs on lead attend for free. So if you want to check it out, you're big into waterfowling, this is going to be the first. They're also going to have the fastest retriever contest. They'll be judging for the 2022 waterfowl stamp. And this is now going to be the home of the State Duck and Goose Calling Championships. So that's all going to go down as well.
And if you did see State Fair this year, State Fair had the platform right next to the U.S. Cellular pavilion or setup. They had dog jumping, length, golden retrievers, everything. And I don't know exactly what it's called. I'm just having a brain fart here. But it was nice to see dogs jumping and stuff like that, because it seemed like with this coming back, bringing back whether it's calls, weapons, ammo, black cloud, whatever you want to shoot, steel, however it's working, it came with what you want to support DU. And it seemed like we hit a lull there with the DU dinners and stuff, because you can only get so many Terry Redlin pictures. We go there and then everybody wanted weapons or something. So basically it was a donation for the dinner, and, nobody bids on 15 pictures anymore. You got 4 walls. Unless I'm going to build an octagon room, and I don't need any more of these pictures, unfortunately, for DU.
I had sat on the board of DU up in Northeast Wisconsin when I was up there, and the last couple of years I've been the MC of the Washington County Ducks Unlimited, their event that they've put on every spring. Obviously, with COVID canceled, moved, I didn't do it this last year. I'm hoping that they'll invite me back to return to it, next year, because it's always been kind of a fun event. But I have noticed a lot of the stuff, it's kind of the same stuff. And if you look at like the raffle tables, the silent auction stuff, the only way to get people to lay down auctions is when they set, the little highlighted marks where, if you auction one of the highlighted lines, then you're in another drawing for a separate gun. Like everybody,
right.
It's like you go to the DU banquet only to win guns. Like that's all it is.
Right.
I will say they've added in a couple of things. The Washington County one, I don't know, I can't speak for all of the other, ones because I'm not hosting their events, but they've done some of like the motorized coolers. They brought that in one year. That's kind of a cool thing, and doing a little bit more of the kind of the walk around $1 a ticket, or $20 for an arm span of tickets. Those quick. We got 5 minutes.
You go with the tallest person you know.
Yep.
You bring Brian Butch to every event you go to.
Yeah, I think some of those have been pretty effective, but not nearly as effective what DU did overall over the last year when they went to online.
Oh.
Every single day, I get a different email of an online banquet that DU's been holding. They've been holding all these different like online banquets. It's $5, whatever, to get in, or sometimes they're even free. And they're doing all these auctions again, buy raffle tickets for all these items, all these guns, all this stuff. Well, if you think about a DU banquet at your local DU chapter, right? You might have 150 seats, or we'll call it 300 seats. And say everybody buys a $5 raffle ticket. Do the math on what that is. Well, now if it's online, you got a lot more than 300 seats.
Oh yeah.
And those people all buy you can. They've raised so much more money by just doing things digital than even hosting these banquets. So I'm in some way wondering if a lot of these banquets are going to go away, because they found that the resources that it takes to stick into a banquet, is it worth that resources versus just doing these online things that more people can participate in?
Yeah.
Hosting bigger event, or maybe Ducks Unlimited wants to get back involved with this, waterfowlers, hunters expo that our DNR is putting together with some of the other ones. That might be a more beneficial way to raise money.
I agree. And the only thing you're losing is, arm span. Hey, Leroy Meats or here's a meat basket. Here's a booze cart or something like that. Those little things.
Yeah, I love the local touch.
Yeah.
I love those
but
things.
You're right.
Yeah.
I think DU has to. You can only have so many Terry Redlands and you can only have so many duck decoys. I mean, it's kind of a tough call, and everybody does go there. I think that's the blanket cover. You go to, whether it's Wings Over Wisconsin, whether it's Pheasants Forever, Whitetails Unlimited, DU, you go there. Everybody goes there to try to win a gun. They want to get on a gun board.
I even donated in the last one. I donated an Aaron Rodgers, was it the Aaron Rodgers MVP plaque? And was it an Aaron Rodgers football too? I think it did something like, it was like an MVP plaque and an Aaron Rodgers football. Some limited edition numbered, footballs and a plaque, and they put it together as like one package. I think it only brought like $200 or something. And I was like, that's not even the value of what the plaque and the ball was together. And it was kind of like, that's almost like a bummer to some extent.
Right.
You're hoping that it would have raised more money, for DU. And that's where I wondered some of those Terry Redland prints and stuff. It's like, I look at some of those and it's like, if it ain't for the yellow mark, no one's signing to spend the $125 on it.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're thinking that years ago would have went for way more than that.
Yeah, I think about that. It really comes down to accessibility, because when you're limited to a certain number of seats in a house, I mean, you can only have that many. But when you open it up and it is something that's virtual, that anybody can easily access that. I mean, I think back to a couple of my clients that have done things over the past year that they would have an in-house event every year for something. And when they went to a virtual event last year where everything was an e-commerce kind of a platform, they far exceeded everything that they needed to do. And they didn't have to bring all of those people in. They didn't have to do any of the organization behind it. They were able to do all of that stuff without investing all of that time and effort and planning into an in-house event then. It's got to be the same thing. It's just a matter of people are able to just swing by and, check in online and do whatever.
And now with DU, yes, financially probably better, but now bringing in that kind of cohesive, hey, let's get back to it. Let's just rub elbows, butts to nuts again. We want to see it a little bit. So you have to find that complete. You got to find that nice mixture right there, because monetarily you're going to make a lot more money online in that way, because you're not limited to 126 seats because of fire codes and stuff like that. But the one last question I want, you can put this in, however, I've for years, you bring up DU, I've bought DU calendars. Is there anybody that DU calendar gives away a gun or an item or a gift certificate every day of the year? I have never. I bought in 2, and then this year I actually bought 4. Has anybody ever won anything from a DU calendar?
Not that I've ever known of. And we used to go to the DU banquets all the time, attending. We would go just to win decoys. That was our biggest thing, was decoys. Whoever was like, yo, DU, y'all, if you guys want to just raise a bunch of money, just do all decoys. Decoys and guns. That to me, like you say, get rid of the Terry Redland prints, just do decoys and guns. That's what everybody wants, especially now, guns specifically.
Well, can you ever have too many decoys?
Well, here's my other. Could be a whole nother show. Love DU, not saying bad about DU. Tom and all the guys with DU, love them. They're awesome people that put together a state DU. But when do we go away from shotguns? At all of these DU banquets, it's all about handguns and the AR type rifles. Did it become we're not waterfowlers anymore? Or do we not attend DU banquets as waterfowlers that are interested in something to do with waterfowl hunting?
Yeah, maybe you get to the point where, like you said, you get your Benelli. And guys are I got a Beretta Silver Mallard 390 that I've been shooting forever. Do I need another? Yeah, I try one for a turkey. Maybe I got that Turkey Thug by Mossberg. I really like that.
Boat anchor.
It weighs about 55 pounds. Broke my jaw. I'm like, what the hell was that? 3.5-inch shell. I told you, we talked about that. I went to 3-inch shell because the 3.5 broke my face. But you're right. Maybe they had to go there because everybody has their gun. Everybody has their baby that they shoot when they go out opening day to the Mississippi, or you go out on a goose or a pheasant hunt, or you're going to go to Milford Hills or something like that, or Cackle Creek. That's my pheasant gun. I don't need 3 pheasant guns. I can only shoot one at a time, and maybe I got a spare. But you're right. How Am I going to donate $100 worth of tickets to win that? Well,
Even like it mentioned decoys, as I've seen some more of them that I've went to, they've moved away from that, and it's more of other stuff. Like you'll have a couple of decoys, but they'll be like bucket raffles where you drop your tickets in the bucket and have a chance to win like a 12-pack of decoys or 2 boxes of decoys, and it's like. Man, where are the days of like the big wall of decoys? Like, aren't we waterfowlers that are here?
Yeah,
that's Ducks Unlimited. That's what we're here for. So I don't know.
And that's funny you said that because we had a good buddy of ours that was worth Carry Light. Carry Light makes obviously great decoys and stuff like that. And
yeah.
Carry Light put it together, and they were obviously you'd want your mallard, you'd want your greenheads and your hens and drakes and stuff like that. But then all of a sudden they started going into a couple canvasbacks, a bunch of woodies, set them up in a pond in a wood structure and stuff like that. But again, where are those guys? I think you're right. That'd be a great money. Everybody's looking. Yeah. Everybody goes for that. Everybody.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, not that we're here to fix the world's problems or we know the answers to the world's problems. We're just, idiots that talk about them and just, have terrible opinions. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. We could touch that on a whole nother thing. We're glad you joined us right here on Tailgate Talk. You do it every week right here on 97.3 The Game. Also, long-form podcast you can check out on demand anytime in the iHeartRadio app. Just search out Tailgate Talk, and feel free to reach out to us on socials @on the tailgate to collectively get the show. I'm @OnAirRitter. That's RIDDER @ET5504 to hit Tasker, and we'll get you WAG stuff coming up soon. So you have a fantastic, safe week. Until next time.